Conti 5.
Gino and Armin's relationship growing up was very scary.
Personalities that kind of went opposite way, and so we have talked about gasoline and fire, at times.
Pretty much wanted to kill each other, I think. They used to have some pretty good fights to blood.
Wayne took off like a jet, and I never saw him move so fast.
And he shot off that deck like he was shot out of a cannon. It was incredible, absolutely incredible.
I don't know if you really feel your dad's strength growing. I think it just, you can't predict it. It's just at the time of need it comes.
No, I never thought that the story would become legend.
So we'll start with some warm-ups just to get you in the feel of what we're doing, and then just keep it candid.
What's your name?
My name is Wayne.
I thought we were starting the easy ones.
What is your name? My name is Wayne Conti.
Perfect.
Start
it. What's your name?
My name is Wayne Conti.
Perfect. Good. See, look, so much better.
My name is Claudette Malbuff.
My name is Kevin Conti.
My name is Fiore Conti.
What's your relationship to our production staff?
I am the entire production staff's uncle.
I'm the grandmother to all these wonderful boys.
I'm the oldest cousin.
What are some of the most memorable, most impressive all-time athletic achievements or physical feats that you can think of? These can be individual at the Olympics, team efforts.
I was at Tiger Stadium in 1968.
Usain Bolt is just iconic, breaking land speed records.
The 96 Bulls, they were just a dominating force.
Michael, what's his name in the Olympics?
Pretty memorable then?
Yeah. Michael, yeah.
You think about Michael Phelps and how many medals he's gotten.
In terms of a more minor sport maybe for some, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of croquet?
Never a real croquet fan, but I can remember one day in particular.
Croquet's a pretty dumb game. Pretty stupid. Easy. Mom's kids would be pretty good at that for students. Not much to it. Whoever invented it should be shot. It's really a dumb game. Very dumb game.
Well, I'm just not sure, I really can't think of anything in particular. Croquet. Balls.
Big hats and a family event that ended up to be something great that nobody expected, but it was a terrible but great thing, yeah.
I don't know what year it was, but I would guess I was in the late single digits in age, so maybe this was early 90s, 92-ish, something like that.
I'm thinking maybe early 90s, mid 90s.
It might have been one of the kids' birthdays. All I do remember was that it was an outdoor party with just our family. So it could have been a birthday, very well a birthday party.
And that was at Medina at the time, and had a family get together. Okay, so we were all sitting on the deck. Us, all the older guys, the aunts, the uncles, we were sitting on the deck.
I remember I was standing next to Dominic. We were by the Playhouse at Medina.
So it was, at a family party. Armin and Gino were playing croquet.
And Gino beat me, as he usually did when we were that age. He beat me at most things.
It was a victory that didn't really feel very celebrated.
What was Gino and Armin's relationship like growing up?
I mean, at times they were best friends, but there were times where it was, just fighting all the time. You could count on Saturday morning fights. I don't know if they were really that mad at each other or just didn't want to do their Saturday morning chores, but it was at least once a week they were coming to physical blows.
I'd say highly contentious. There were two guys, and they reminded me of myself and my brother Steve, but they could push each other's buttons very, very easily, and it became the lore of many great stories between the two of them, and some of them which almost ended up in some level of disaster, bodily harm, that sort of thing.
I remember one time Aunt Mary saying, as long as they don't draw blood, I don't step in the middle of it.
Armin could ignite those fires quickly and just get under his skin quickly. And it was like somewhat of an art form that Armin had, yes, that to get under his skin.
In our youth, it was much more frigid than anything else. We fought very regularly as kids, and just the slightest offense would spark physical blows. Our relationship as kids was terrible, right? I mean, like, we had our good moments, but for the most part, we were just rivals. And because he was a couple years older than me, he just constantly would beat me at sports. And we also just didn't see eye to eye on anything. We just argued about everything, and I knew how to push his buttons, and that to me was like one of the ways I entertained myself as a kid was, how do I just make Gino mad? And so I would antagonize him constantly because it was just funny to me. And so, of course, this was, but that also, that sort of manifested itself when we would play sports. Like, I would just get really angry at him. And so he would usually beat me at things, whether it was shooting hoops in the front or playing croquet or whatever. I would just get mad because I wanted to win. And because of that gap in our age, I never did.
It was funny because when they were growing up, I can't remember the age, but it seems like they never rubbed the right way, ever. Now they're wonderful buddies, but when they were younger, like say maybe 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, it was like oil and water. They just never mixed. And I felt bad because I was always playing referee.
And of course you had 5 grandsons. Were any of the other relationships as tenuous as that one?
No, it seems for some reason Gino and Armin were the two that were always at each other.
You never knew when it was going to escalate to the point where someone would get hurt.
Who was usually the antagonist in Gino and Armin's relationship?
Armin.
There's no two ifs, ands, or buts about it. Armin was always the antagonist, yes.
Armin kind of, I think, was more of the instigator.
Armin was entirely the antagonist for pretty much their entire relationship.
Armin was the antagonist.
There's no usually, it was just Armin.
Armin. I was always the antagonist, no question. I mean, Gino was generally pretty peaceful, and I just wanted to, see what I could do to get him lit up.
My favorite story about Gino and Armin fighting was one time Nico and I spent the night over at Medina, and we were going to a park the next day. I can't remember what the name of the park was, but we were waking up and getting ready to go. Aunt Mary had made breakfast. We were all 5 upstairs at Medina.
And Armin had done something to upset Gino.
Gino and Armin got into it. I got kind of caught in the crossfire as Gino stormed Armin's bedroom and attacked. Armin at one point went on his back.
I remember he got on the bed and kind of like a defense curl so that he could kick with his legs, and he was on his back.
Like Liu Kang from Mortal Kombat.
And kicking very hard, and Gino it wasn't phasing him, just taking it to the jaw or whatever.
And I only remember that fight being resolved because Aunt Mary came in and grabbed them both by the ear hard and took them outside of the room and down the stairs.
I remember Aunt Mary ended it immediately.
And Dominic and Nico and I went about our business as we usually did.
Favorite story about us fighting as kids is, every Saturday was just a battle, right? Saturday morning chores just seemed to set us off for whatever reason.
And looking back, perhaps I should have had one go up at a time and do their chore. But that's not how it worked.
Our fights often took us just sort of ranged through the house. It'd start in one room and we would just kind of fight to another and just kind of back and forth.
From Gino's room to Armin's room to Dominic's room, tumbling and arguing.
And so there's one that took us, we were at Medina. I think we probably started fighting in my room, and then the fight moved to Dominic's room. And we're tumbling on the ground, and eventually we just took out his closet door, took it right off of the runners.
It crashed and burned, and I just said, okay, I give up. I'm going for a run. Dad should be home in 40 minutes. You guys figure out how to fix the closet door.
And so now the closet door is like broken, and the fight is over. We're like, well, we need to fix this now because Dad was working. We need to fix this before Dad gets home. And so we went from like physical fighting to being like teammates in an instant because we're like, well, we have a bigger challenge ahead of us, and that's what Dad is going to do when he gets home. So we fixed it the best we could.
And you kind of put it back up.
But they had managed to write it so at least looked like it was workable, when in fact they knew that they had busted it all the interior of it out.
But Dominic says that door was never the same again.
It really never was the same.
And Dad gets to fix the door then.
The all-time classic was the croquet ball.
There was a lot of times that, playing ball out in the backyard. When's the game going to be over? There was a classic end point of the games. Well, usually the game's over when Gino gets hurt.
There was always okay, we play until Gino gets hurt.
Would you describe Gino as injury prone?
Injury prone, yes. No, he never really seriously got hurt, ever.
So maybe just dramatic.
He was a crybaby. Yeah, he was dramatic about things.
Physical pain is what I think of when I hear about croquet. Just raw physical pain, agony. That's what I think of. First thing that comes to mind when I think of croquet is playing in the backyard of Medina and the infamous game where Gino beat me.
The children were kind of off of the deck at a little bit of a distance when all of this happened.
I won, and I immediately regretted my victory.
Armin and Gino had an altercation, and Armin, known to have a little bit of a hot temper.
Armin was then, he's better now, but was very much a sore loser then, and he just wasn't happy that Gino had won.
The next thing I knew, I felt just this pain in my back.
Armin, in his fury, took the ball and whipped it at Gino.
Armin fired a strike.
Justin Verlander, probably 85-mile-an-hour fastball that hit him right between the shoulder blades.
Right in the middle of the back.
He launched that thing, and it just seemed like it went forever. But boy, did it thud on Gino's back. That's all I can say.
Gino went down like a sniper hit him from the roof, like arms up, head back, face down in the grass.
The ball hit him right in the back, and his back arched, and he just collapsed down to the ground. And I knew I was in deep trouble, right? This was a bad situation. Didn't know how badly Gino was hurt. I was kind of face down in the grass. I was in pain.
I was on the deck, and of course, I knew that Wayne was very angry.
What in the world are you doing? Why, Armin? Why? Did you realize, Armin, what you could have done? Could have hit him in the head. You could have knocked him out. You could have hurt him seriously. He didn't think about that. I thought about that, but kids do things that are crazy, and accidents do happen, sometimes catastrophic.
Competition injuries, as they're becoming now called due to their frequency amongst croquet champions, leave more than just physical effects. Post-traumatic croquet trauma disorder, also more commonly known as PTCTD, is only comparable to the emotional trauma that happens to those who often grow up as the middle child in their family. It is not uncommon for the blunt force trauma of a croquet ball to leave someone with a shattered spine, pooping or peeing into a bag for the rest of their life, unable to move their lower extremities. These are particularly barbaric injuries that are becoming commonplace among the most advanced competitors in the game through aggressive release.
As soon as it hit Gino, I heard the scooch of the chair on the very distinctive noise, plastic on wood deck.
I saw red, I jumped, I leaped off the deck.
And in terms of words like agile or speed or lightning, are these words you would typically associate with your husband?
Not in the time I've known him, no.
Actually, I don't see him doing a lot of athletic events right now.
Well, when he was in high school, his athletic prowess, he was pretty big and pretty slow. He's strong, but I don't ever remember him being like overly athletic in the way of strong, fast, can do all things. He's just pretty strong, but not fast.
He wasn't good at running. Me too. If he had a ball, like my younger son, he was like a snake in the grass.
He's one of the slowest human beings on earth.
Tell me more, elaborate.
Not a good runner. He's had knee surgery, and I know I could probably run faster than him backwards, hopping on one foot. Very slow, a foot.
Was it his form? Was it like, what? Why?
Well, he was a pretty fat guy back in his earlier days. He was a big boy. Then he had major, back in the day, knee surgery that they don't do it like they do nowadays. He had major knee surgery. That slowed him down to a big pace. Major surgery back in the day in 1968 was he had his knee pinched between two helmets. He was a center, pretty good center. And both of his knee was smashed between two helmets, cracked his kneecap, and at that time he had knee surgery. No scoping, no anything like that. He's got a scar about this big on his knee, and it was a big time deal that he wasn't back to walking normal probably for 4 months, 5 months maybe. He was on crutches for 3 months.
Throughout college, I can't say that I trained. I did not train. I just drank beer and ate pizzas and submarines and gained weight.
I can tell you this for certain. What he may have lacked in agility, he made up for in strength and in desire.
Very aggressive.
Okay.
And tried his very best to do his best.
Any sport that my brother played, anything he was involved with, he was twisted like a rope for every pregame, whether it was in high school. I used to go in the locker room with him before the games. And he was so geeked. It was one of the most geeked up people I've ever seen play a game. When he played softball in a men's league, he was as geeked about that. I think he took a half a day off work before every game to get ready for it.
When it came to having to do something that was greater than my capabilities, if I had to try to do something, much to be said for the power of adrenaline strength. Certain times of your life that you had to rise to the occasion, you had to defend your children. That goes a long way to say what dad's strength is.
My vantage point during the croquet situation was I was sitting on the deck, so I saw it all unfold.
I was sitting next to Wayne at the time, or very close proximity to Wayne up on the deck.
Me and Uncle Wayne are sitting on the deck just chit-chatting, having a beer, just chit-chatting and relaxed.
I was facing away from the deck, so I was facing towards the back of the backyard. And as soon as that ball hit Gino, I heard the screech of a chair on the deck, a plastic chair on the deck. And I knew it was Dad. I knew it had to be him. And so I looked behind me just to see what was happening.
I'll never forget the scream Armand let out as he turned to run away, and he did the Looney Tunes like his feet went on the grass.
I was talking about my brother's speed, how awful and terrible it was. Very slow human being. That day, he jumped off the porch like Batman or Superman.
All we saw was Wayne out of the corners of our eyes as he flew off of the deck, literally.
It was like he was popcorn out of the chair and off of the deck in midair. Exactly, just all in one movement. And fast, which he is not.
Wayne jumped off the deck over the bushes.
I saw Dad just whipping by me. I was standing right next to Fiore. We were looking right to left for Dad coming through. And I saw him screeching by. And I don't know what he did when he got to Armin. I can't remember that, but it was, he was scooting.
I knew he was going to really give it to him, and I didn't want to see that.
By the time I looked behind me and I knew he was coming, I think I turned back around, took about 2 steps, and he was just on me. I mean, I was tackled to the ground, and so then there Dad was, and honestly, I don't even remember what happened after that. All I remember is he was on me faster than I could even think about moving.
Oh, he got to him pretty quick. I never saw him move so fast.
Lightning speed, jumped off and got a hold of Armin.
I leaped off the deck, grabbed Armin's back by the hair, and had some words with him. And my wife, my mother, others thought I was going to kill him, and they were in fear for Armin's life. I wasn't going to kill him. I just wanted to scare him a little. I think I did.
And caught Armin before he took his first step. He had her hand on his neck. And I've never seen my brother ever move that fast in his life. Never.
Poor kid. I can't believe his ear isn't at his shoulder from that one.
Probably got a little roughed up, but I deserved it. First thing I remember when I came to really was kind of Armin licking his wounds and looking rather sheepish, not because of what he'd done, but because he'd clearly been punished for it.
It kind of put a little bit of halt on the day for about an hour, so everybody just kind of, sat around kind of quietly for a while, just to kind of get our thoughts back together and to relax and know that Gino was walking. There was no bleeding out of his ears or anything, and Armin also was speaking and didn't have any contusions in his neck yet, although he did have his dad's fingerprints on his neck about an hour later.
It, of course, didn't stop me from doing more stupid things in the future, but I think that was the end of my misbehavior for the day.
My recollection
0 to 100,
of that event, of what I just told you, 100%.
I did not know at the time of the croquet match that I was seeing history. No, I was experiencing history. Yes, nothing has ever happened like that before or since. No, it's a one-time deal.
That's number one thing I always think about croquet.
Okay, perfect.
We good? Yeah, that's it. That was everything I wanted it to be. That was great. That was great.
If this was a predator and prey situation, how would you describe Armand and Wayne as predator and prey?
It reminded me of a lion going after a gazelle.
A lion going after a antelope or something of that nature, yeah.
Dad was like a hungry lioness on the hunt, and Armin was like a drunk penguin. He didn't even belong in there. It was just, he was so outmatched. It was game over from the moment it started.
The mismatch was something that, like, you can't even compare it to anything in reality. How far apart were Gino and Armand?
10 yards, 15 yards maybe.
How much?
It was brutal. It was brutal.
Armin couldn't have been more than 15, 20 yards away from him, if that.
10 yards apart, something like that. So far enough that I had to throw the ball hard enough that I could have done some damage. If I'd hit him in the head, it would have been really a problem.
Gino and Armand were about 10 yards apart, maybe a touch less.
I'd say he was a good, 10, 20 feet.
Fairly close range, I'm guessing maybe 12 feet.
Gina was maybe 10 feet in front of Armin.
Less than 10 feet.
So this was a point blank.
It was no question. It was a point blank, yes.
How much ground did you have to cover to get to Armin?
About 30 feet. I think I jumped over the shrubbery on the side of the deck, and then he was maybe about 10, 12 feet away from me, and so I covered that amount of ground in a few seconds.
Maybe 60 feet.
I think he had to cover about 25 yards.
Well, I would say maybe 100 feet or better.
100 feet, something like that?
Maybe 100 feet or so from the deck to where he caught the Armin.
That was an easy 50-yard dash in about 3 seconds.
50, 60 yards.
60 yards away or so?
You guys are so awesome. Oh my